It doesn't really matter to me. I'll still play him regardless. He's been bad in literally every single game he's been in. I don't have a lot of hope for the character being decent. If some of you have been going down that deep spiral of despair as well, like I said, be fully spiral or we're just gonna be decent. We're just gonna be okay.
Ignore absolutely everything that I said in the last video. If you watched it, it never happened. If you didn't watch it, don't click on it because it never happened. After watching all 8, and I'm going to include Max's video on this, so 9 total videos, let me tell you, I don't know what they were smoking or who they let into the Capcom offices to make Alex look like a good and viable character, but they did it. In this video, I'm going to go over all the most juicy and amazing things I found so that you don't have to scrub through 9 videos worth of Alex CPU matches in order to see what he can do. With that being said, help me out by hitting the like button, and if you got something useful from this video, then consider subscribing. I got a whole lot more videos coming your way. With that being said, let's get started. So let's start out with the most cracked out thing Alex has, and it's going to be abused by pretty much everyone that's going to be playing him next week. His stand heavy into flash chop.
That was cancelable. Looks like charging stand HP is cancelable.
Did you see him not get wall splatted? Did you see the lock notification come up? You know what that means, right? That means charged heavy punch into flash chop is real. It's considered a true block string. So we don't have to worry about people mashing parry. We don't have to worry about them mashing supers. Anything, because they can't. They're locked behind a block animation. But I didn't think it was real because that would mean that they gave Alex something that's actually crazy good on block, and I'm used to being disappointed. But it was pointed out to me by Prototype, another Alex player from Street Fighter V, and he messaged me like he had found the One Piece. So in this Twitter post that he made, you can see that Alex is using his stand heavy punch and the other character is being locked into a drive impact. It says lock on the screen, so you know for sure that it is a true block string. Drive impact is a 26 frame startup, and that's right, you guessed it. That means flash chop is also a 26 frame startup. So that's how you know that stand heavy punch into flash chop is a true block string. Now that we know that it's real, let me show you why it's good to have. 1.5 drive bars. You're losing 1.5, almost 2 drive bars if you block this. And unlike Street Fighter V, it's still your turn if they block. You're plus. How plus it is, we don't know yet. People are speculating it's like +2, +3, but we won't really know until we get to try them out next week. You'll do what looks like about 40% damage on both the EX, same side, and side switch versions. Overall, it's an amazing change that we didn't get the choice of in Street Fighter V. So in Street Fighter 6, they're saying, if you want a side switch, cool. If you want to keep the same side, cool, you have the choice. But what if I told you there's even more to this? If you choose to stay on the same side, if you choose to stay on the same side, you get what looks like a safe jump. Now, we don't know if it's real, but I saw the CPU using it quite a few times. Almost every time, really. So, we have to check if it's real. But if it is, line the whole Capcom Street Fighter staff because I got something. Yeah. And if you don't want to spend a bar meter, well, those beautiful specimens at the Capcom offices thought of that too. They said, fine, here's a command normal that lets you keep the same side, does 35%, and lets you get a forward dash strike command throw mix-up. We're real. We're finally real. They made Alex a real character. But wait, there's more! If you do want to switch sides, you can do it. And it's time to glow green because you can get drive rush pressure with that side of heavy knockdown. You can, of course, choose not to spend anything, but the range that it leaves you in is too far to pretty much get anything off of it. My thought is you could probably get a dash or you could get a stance. Yeah, it doesn't really look like you can do much. But if you do have that drive meter to spend, you can get something like drive rush overhead, you could get drive rush command throw, drive rush crouch medium kick. This I saw the most in CPU matches. You can get drive rush charge stand heavy punch. The world is essentially your oyster. Oh, that's a lot of stuff you could do from that one sequence. And I'm not even done. I'm almost there. Hold on. I'm almost there. The last thing you can do on top of this already high 40% damage is that you can choose to spend 2 bars of meter, actual meter, not drive, and go into level 2 that does about, if not a little bit more than 50% health. Now, I will say you don't really get any pressure afterwards, but 50% is 50%. And it looks like it even does close to 60% damage if you get a raw punish counter with flash chop. Okay, I'm done. That was a lot, but that's all the stuff that you can do as far as I took notes on that you can get from that one sequence. But now let's move over to one of my favorite moves to land in Street Fighter V. It got a huge glow up in Street Fighter 6, and that move is Air Knee. In Street Fighter V, this move was great as a combo ender, but not too great as an anti-air if you didn't spend meter on it. The non-EX version of this move also couldn't be used in grounded combos, but EX version could if the opponent was standing. In Street Fighter 6, some of those problems are now gone, with Alex now being able to combo into heavy knee from a light combo if they're standing, and judging from the way the guide made it sound, it looks like they gave his non-EX versions air invulnerability on frame 1 to be used as a rewarding, meterless anti-air. And that means that cross-cutting with this move will be a lot more consistent and a lot better than how it was in Street Fighter V, where you had to spend meter on it to make it work. But with all good changes come the trade-offs, right? Since knee is now a good meterless anti-air, it doesn't force the opponent to do a normal recover anymore, like Street Fighter V did. They could only do one thing, and that's recover in place. Your opponent in 6 can now do a back recovery though, so the strike mix-up we had in 5 isn't as strong in 6, but that doesn't mean that it's completely gone. We lose that strong meterless situation we used to get mid-screen, but it still exists if you use it in the corner. If you have meter to spend though, that's right, and you were probably thinking it, it's time to glow green and get the slot machine spinning. It's perfectly fine that they can recover backwards from meterless knee, because it's plus and close enough to still pressure them with drive rush into a button or a command throw. A throw might even work too, a regular throw. The CPU's favorite thing to use after this situation was drive rush crouch medium kick. I don't know if that's implying something, but it definitely looks strong. With that being said, let's move on to what actually changed with EX knee. Well, it's not much, but that's actually a great thing. And the guide showed it off a bit, but it causes a heavy knockdown, so it's the same exact situation where we got in Street Fighter V, where it gives you a free dash up that forces the opponent to recover in place. Obviously, the CPUs weren't maximizing the potential of it in these clips, but you're definitely plus enough to command throw or press a button here. The only thing that changed about this move overall on EX, and changed for the better, what it looks like, at least from this clip, is that you can combo into EX knee even if the opponent is crouching. And this is another amazing change because that just straight up wasn't possible in Street Fighter V. The opponent had to be standing or else it would have whiffed completely. And since we're talking about knee anti-airs already, let's talk about 2 anti-airs Alex can get without going into stance or using a special move. The only 2 options it looks like he has that won't be too niche are his crouch heavy punch and his air-to-air heavy punch. His crouching heavy punch actually looks like a really good anti-air this time around in Street Fighter 6. And I'm glad it does, because it sucks as anything else other than anti-airing or using it as a drive rush combo tool. I say that because unless if you're touching skin to skin with an opponent, it's gonna completely miss. His air-to-air option also looked pretty good. It looked pretty strong because it slams the opponent to the ground and looks like you're still plus enough to get pressure or press a button afterwards. Maybe you can even weave in a throw or a command throw. I'm not entirely sure, but all I know is that both these options look pretty good compared to Street Fighter V's, where crouch heavy punch got beat out. Yeah, this is a huge glow up. Now let's get into one of the most interesting things that Alex got this time around, because it's completely new. And I'm talking about his Prowler stance. Now, I really want to go into the details for this stance, but I'll save that for another video. For now, I want to focus on the most important bits. Now his stomp and hop both have the same animations until a certain point. So the mix-up game is going to be kind of crazy, not only for just stomp, but everything mixes well together in that stance. So it's going to be pretty unpredictable to see what he's going to go for. You can do things like mixing up between actual stomp and hop. You can opt in to go for a regular throw from stance that leaves you close enough to go for whatever you want, or even try and go for another stance into throw loop. Ultimately, there's a lot of options that you can choose from, and this is going to be a lot of fun to play with. Another thing I want to mention about Stomp is that if you manage to land a punish counter with it, not only do you get a decently damaged combo, but you'll also be able to set stuff up afterwards. You can do things like double stance dash or a stance dash into charged Lariat, which sounds too good to be true, and it's probably because it is. Definitely not real, because in this other clip, the CPU wakes up with a throw and it just completely beats it out. But what we don't know is what will happen if you don't charge it. There might be a better way to set the sequence up, so let's actually play with that next week. All of his stance moves besides, I think, stance medium punch actually cancel into each other, so the combo potential and block pressure don't look like they'll be too much of an issue. And Lariats, Lariats looks a lot stronger than Street Fighter V's version, which is crazy because that button got nothing but buffs throughout the entire game's lifespan. It now has 1 hit of armor on both highs and lows. Rest in peace, Marissa. You don't get that privilege if you charge it, and it looks like it actually has juggle properties if you land the hit in the air. Not only that, but it looks like we actually got our classic blocked Lariat into Powerbomb mix-up back. Then we have his stance medium punch, or his old crouch heavy punch from the previous games, that actually seems to be a legitimate anti-air this time. It doesn't lose to any jump-ins, and it looks like they shifted its hurt box a lot lower, so it's able to avoid a whole lot more things than just a jump-in. Like this Viper clip, I don't know how the hell this happened, but yeah, we can completely avoid it, so that hurt box is pretty low. I mean, look at this Geef jump in. I wasn't sure if the CPU pressed the button too early, so I actually went into training mode to test things out, and nah, our stance medium punch anti-air actually just works, even if you press this button super late. Before in 5, you would get a regular or EX knee juggle for some alright damage, but now it looks like you actually get good damage and pressure as long as you actually get a counter hit from your opponent in the air. So we will lose out on that juggle property that we had in 5, but I think the reward that we get in 6 is a whole lot better than what we got previously. One of the last 3 things I want to go over before we wrap up this stance section is Alex's elbow. The potential this move has is absolutely bonkers. Back in season 1 of Street Fighter V, it was possible to get meaty elbows that ended up being plus after some knockdown situations. I did see some clips, but actually experiencing it, I wasn't there for that, unfortunately. That got removed in season 2, but I'm happy to see it make a comeback in 6. I didn't see elbow get punish countered once when the CPU blocked it in all 8 of the CPU videos, but what I did see was the screen shake effect to let you know that it was definitely plus. Another nice property of it is that the counter hit version or punish counter version actually knocks the opponent up, so you can get a knee or EX knee juggle. So we lost the juggle on crouch heavy punch, but we keep it on elbow, which is nice. Or my next and more spicy thing that I've been thinking of in my head is that since crouch heavy punch is stance cancelable, you'll be able to get something like crouch heavy punch, stance cancel, into a super meaty plus on block elbow that then sets up the mix-up to do one of Alex's stance moves that I found no purpose in. I thought it was going to be a meme. You probably already know what I'm talking about, and that is DDT. Now, as a notice, out of all the CPU videos, I only saw the armbar, not the DDT, but the armbar being used once, and we only see it again being demonstrated in the guide. This makes me think that DDT will be used more as a 50-50 setup tool. In the example from my theory, or at least what I'm thinking of, you either block the meaty elbow that lets Alex continue his block pressure, or the opponent can try to perfect parry it. And what that means for him, if they try to challenge with that perfect parry, they're going to get hit with some big command throw damage and a guess afterwards. To me, at least for now, it seems like a really strong situation. But I do want to point out, I'm still not a complete believer in the DDT being used outside of meme clips. Thinking this up in my head makes me think that there might be more potential to play with when he releases. So I'm not going to write it off just yet. It's still looking a little bit rough, but we have a lot to test and a lot to play with once he comes out next week. Finally, to end this section off, I want to mention his stance heavy kick. I personally think this is going to be one of his strongest drive rush check options because of how far it looks like it hits in this clip, and the reward that you get being a hard knockdown for a close strike throw mix-up. Well, we'll see, because if you whiff this, I'm like almost positive you're losing at least 50% health. But if you land the hit, it looks like it'll do a pretty good reward. Next up are Alex's supers. Now, there's not a whole lot to go off, but I do want to go over them because there's some pretty important things we need to talk about. His level 1 actually looks really good in terms of being able to continue his offensive game after landing it in the corner, and it actually looks like a really good combo route option for some extra damage mid-screen. As a wake-up option, I'm not too sure about quite yet, but I'm hoping it ends up being a good wake-up reversal and not something where you know, some level 1s right now where you can press a button and you still have enough time to block. Level 2 looks to be a lot more utility based, being able to go through fireballs, being able to combo after EX backdrop, and being able to get some corner carry while having a splat effect for some more combo potential. We haven't seen how useful the wall splat will be yet, since the only thing we saw it combo into in the guide was a meterless knee, and in the CPU matches it was used mid-screen. So for now, it's something that we still need to do a lot of testing with when he comes out. Overall though, I'd say we can still continue pressure after both regular and the aerial version of level 2 that wall splats. We definitely can't get anything after EX backdrop level 2 though, so that's probably going to be used mainly more to do cash out damage. Level 3 is really cool, not in terms of gameplay, but animation wise, with how there are 4 different versions of it depending on your opponent's health. One for his regular level 3 that doesn't KO, one where it does KO, one for his critical art that doesn't KO, and one for his critical art that does KO. It's also a hit-based super and not a throw-based one, so we'll be able to link a lot of stuff from combos and juggles like we could in Street Fighter V. After we get a hit from this, I want to say that it looks like we can get at least a stand heavy kick. I'm not entirely sure. The pressure afterwards, either we can get a stand heavy kick or maybe a walk-up button. I don't know. We need to play around with this. Alright, now let's talk about Alex's powerbomb. Now this section isn't going to be too long, but I do still want to go over it just because I want to show off the damage comparisons. The one where you get off of regular powerbomb, punish counter powerbomb, EX version, and the most interesting part of it that I find might be the most damaging on some combos is the back turn property. Regular powerbomb does a decent amount of damage and resets you to the mid screen, so it's not anything different that we didn't already know was going to happen from Street Fighter V's version. The punish counter damage on this doesn't really look like a huge difference from the regular version, but what I can say is the EX damage looks very nice, especially if you manage to land a punish counter back turn version. I mean, look at the life bar. He's doing a shit ton of damage, and this is coming from a back turn interaction. If you do the powerbomb input and the opponent is back turned, you get a backdrop. And this is pretty huge because the scaling is probably super low, or maybe backdrop here doesn't have any scaling at all. So I expect if you do manage to get this, which is probably going to be in situations where you're punishing EXDP or something like that, I can easily see this doing like 60 or 70% without doing much. I really wish the CPU had done level 2 here, but my theory is that it probably would have killed, and that's why the CPU didn't cancel into it. Honestly, I can't wait to test out max damage combos from level 2. It might do more than level 3, but we don't know. I really want to get some Terry damage. With that being said, we're finally to the last section that I want to talk about, and these are things I felt didn't really need a long section, or they're just things that we need to play around with. To start, I want to talk about his stand heavy kick. It's chargeable and looks like you get a pretty good reward from it if you land the charge version. The regular version doesn't knock down on regular hit, but it does stagger your opponent and make them fall down on a punish counter. Now, I'm not too sure if the non-charge version knocks down on counter hit or has some kind of stagger effect, but on regular hit, it doesn't really knock down or anything. But what I can say is all charged versions of his stand heavy kick lead to a knockdown, and the punish counter one leads into a very nice juggle that we can see from the gameplay trailer. Either way, the charged punish counter version looks very rewarding on hit and can even be stance cancelled, so it looks like a really solid option to use on both block and on hit. One last thing that I didn't mention that looks crazy good with this move is that when you're charging it up, it looks like it reels Alex's hurt box back. And you can clearly see it in this clip, but it looks like he's going to be able to avoid long poking buttons or challenges that are trying to interrupt it. Next, I'll talk about his back throw. I found some clips where it's been used mid-screen, but this is probably the most substantial clip I saw in the corner. It looks pretty good, and it leaves you in a decent range, not to get a throw loop, but to at least be fast enough to throw a button out. Maybe something like a medium punch or a crouch medium punch. I don't know. Next up is his regular jab, and it actually looks like they made a special animation for it, kind of like Jamie does with his light kicks. Now, I don't think this is important or anything, I just think it looks cool. Another thing about his crouch heavy punch is that the punish counter version of it actually knocks the opponent up. So if you've seen something like Marissa's crouch heavy punch, in theory, Alex's crouch heavy punch should let you get some pretty cool juggles off of it, like it's shown in this clip from Max. Okay, I think that's about it. That's all 13 pages worth that notes that I took of. Now, there were some extra notes that I made about some stuff, but I don't really think they were too important, or they're just stuff that we need to test out a lot more, so I didn't really feel like it was worth talking about in this video. But with that being said, if you have any combo theories, or if you have anything at all that you're actually looking forward to with Alex, leave a comment. I'd love to read through all of them and kind of discuss or just see how excited you might be as much as I am for Alex to finally be releasing. And not just Alex being released. To be honest, Street Fighter 6 has been in beta for, what, like 2 years now? So it'll finally be good to play the actual version of Street Fighter 6, you know? Well, whatever the case is, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you very soon.
I like good pussy and I like good trees. Smoke so much weed you wouldn't believe, and I get more ass than